You know, of course, that you're still trying to get something that's authentic and committed, no matter what the scale of it, or whether you're acting with a great actor or a ping pong ball that's supposed to be some weird creature. You have to kind of, it's all imagination and commitment. It's a tragedy from his point of view, I feel. You know, he's a man in great pain. He's so lost in his masculinity, in his sort of veneer of masculinity, as well as the stuff that he swallowed the Kool-Aid. He is an amazing ranchman. And that ability to stand his ground and have authority and say no and be himself and not be apologetic or embarrassed or people-pleasing. I kind of like that. I really enjoy playing that. I don't associate with it, but I need to take a bit more of that into my life.
Why I wanted to play Peter is because it gave me an opportunity to really own myself and own the things that maybe are not accepted in society that I've experienced myself, in which he completely does. So he taught me that we don't all necessarily have to fit in a box, and that's okay, and we can be confident about that. I very much warm to, you know, my mother and my sister side of the family. I'm a very feminine guy, and that's something that I really confidently, embrace in my life. And I think it gives way to a lot of my artistic side and creativity. And so, yeah, throughout the industry, being in front of many eyes and throughout school, it's something that I've had to learn to embrace and love about myself, and I don't need to change that. So, yeah, I mean, I saw that reflected in Peter in different ways. In terms of sexuality, I'm not sure if he identifies with one or the other at the time that we find him, but again, he did teach me that we don't necessarily all have to fit in the box, and that's okay, and hopefully the film itself can reinforce that.
The hook for me was really his tragedy. The opposite, in a way. Peter's strength is that he's comfortable with who he is. And that's a strength that lures Phil in, actually, in the moment where he's being ridiculed at the haymaking camp, and he sees a strength and determination. This boy becoming a man doesn't get moved by it. He's not affected by it. And that's a very powerful thing to witness for Phil. Still, unfortunately, we do live in times across many parts of our time and culture that are still intolerant, that are still repressive, that are still judgmental and biased. And I think that creates real problems, not only for the person who can't express themselves fully, their true self, but also for everyone around them. And that kind of toxic masculinity that it results in is something we're seeing play out in many different ways. It's not just to do with sexuality. You know, there are very different working methods. You know, this is a Jane Campion adaptation of a rediscovered Thomas Savage classic. So there's a sort of canon of importance with the script that's sort of solidified before you go into shooting. You often go into, you know, production with only 2/3 of the script on these bigger sandpit play pens, you know?
I feel she's an absolute master. She has taken me beyond, you know, the limitations and boundaries that I had as an actor, and she did it in such a way that at first maybe it felt a little uncomfortable in terms of getting out of that comfort zone, but then in that same thought, you know, I reminded myself who I'm with and who I was in the presence of, and also it's just her aura. You completely can trust that and go with the flow and actually have fun with it. And you know, I tried a lot of different techniques and body movement specialists and accent coaching, which I didn't think I would have to have for a long time again, but it added so much more to Peter than I could have ever expected or imagined.
I can't really think of another collaboration I've had like this in my life. She really does take you to places that you've never been able to get to before. She lets you access that. She never said, oh, I want you to feel this way, you know, I don't want the audience to. There was no audience thinking with her. It was all about the intention of the craft, of the process of getting into the character. And the seduction was sort of complete. We all had our own worlds going into that story, which is all you need as an actor. You just need to think, right, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is what supports me. And then you just play all the things that hit you along that story. But to work with Jesse Plemons was just a dream come true. I've been a huge fan of his for a long time. I think he's really one of modern cinema's great actors. And he's kind of an all-time classic. He's just able to ground a cardboard box. That boy has just such presence on screen, and to build a relationship with him as his brother that's that complex and intricate was just a pure joy. She's a real alchemist, isn't she?
Yeah.
She knows how to create an environment through very open means, actually, but they do deviate from the norms. I mean, for example, to bring myself physically close to my brother, to understand him, his body, his smell, who he is as a person, rather than just an actor I love. You know, she had us waltz for a rehearsal, something that we probably never would have done. Maybe as kids we would have mucked around the Christmas tree doing it or something, I don't know, in the Burbank family Christmas scene that never was. But, you know, I found she always went an interesting way round, but with utter openness, which, like Kodi says, it gives you real courage to be daring, to leave yourself vulnerable and exposed, and to be sort of fully prepared to give her everything. And there's just such a bond of trust there. You kind of fall into it. You know, there's lots of things which I'll never be as proficient as him. He's a polymath. Everything he turns his hand to, whether it's carpentry or whittling or whistling or rolling a cigarette with one hand as tight as he rolled them, that's also a skill I've yet to master. But the banjo, if you put an instrument that takes years to practice in someone's hands who's had 1 year, or a few months in my case, there is nothing like pulling you out of an authentic experience, committing to something that you believe is immersive and going, this is just such a fake moment. It's really painful.